Hi folks, John Cordisco here. Round 9 of the U.S. Chess Championship 2015. Being played in the beautiful, beautiful Chess Club in the Scholastic Center in St. Louis. That place is definitely on my bucket list. Anyway, this is a game between two young, up-and-coming Americans. U.S. chess in the future is looking very bright. We have Daniel Naroditsky as white. Conrad Holt as black. Two young guys going at it. Let's see how it goes. It's going to be a French, which I'm not real keen on, but bishop e5, c5, a3, b takes, pawn takes, knight e7, queen g4. Interesting. Black castles. For those of you that were wondering what would happen if, because he castled, is he going to lose the exchange? Well, no. Just brings knight here. Bishop d3. Knight b to c6, getting the other knight developed. Queen h5. Interesting move there. Computer likes knight to f3 and queen to h3. Move the queen again. I'm not real keen on that, but knight g6. The other knight comes out for white. Queen to c7. Bishop e3. c4 to back up the bishop. Bishop decides to take the knight. Interesting enough, though, quite a difference between taking with the f-pawn and the h-pawn. Normally we say take towards the center. This is one of those rare exceptions. Give you an idea, it's a half a point difference between taking with the h or the f-pawn, the f-pawn being the correct move. I would have taken with the h-pawn in a millisecond. But f takes. And also there's a couple of things here. I mean, you got to look at the rook. Now there's an open file here to go on. Queen to g4. Now let's take a look at this now. Black decides to go queen to f7. Alright, that's fine. Get the queen and the rook battery on White's king. Assuming he's going to castle kingside, if at all. Let's just pick this apart a little bit. Couple things. Black's late squared bishop. Really hemmed in with those pawns. I don't know how it's going to get out. And also, Black's start squared bishop. But at least he's got some room to roam. At least he's facing towards Black's king side. So, what would you do here as white? Would you castle on the king side? Would you castle at all? Let's see what happens. Knight to g5, of course, the obvious move. Queen goes to e8. Now, right now, the computer off screen shows basically the game is even. But I think there's some pressure on Black. h4. Excellent move. Computer suggestion as well. Just start opening things up. Bishop d7. What else can he do? I mean, let's take a look at this. Knight d7. Maybe go to f5. It's tough. Rook to f5 maybe. That's a good spot because it's on a light square. Decides to go bishop to d7, queen to e2. Queen comes back. I'm not so keen on that, though, to be honest with you. Bishop c1 is the computer's choice. Why? I really don't know. Maybe to push the a-pawn and get the bishop on a3 to get in that way. But queen to e2, b5. Black's just going to leave the king side alone and concentrate maybe opening up on the queen side, get some play. g4. Now, believe it or not, according to the computer, this is the last book move. We're on move 17 now. That's not a big deal for these guys to be booked up to move 20 and beyond. But for us guys, that's a ton. And the way these guys have to study, especially the younger guys that are going to school, it makes it hard. But That's why they're world-class players and we're not. A5 for black. Black says, you know what? I'm going to get some counterplay on the queen side. White says, fine. I'm going to open up your king. Let's see how you like that. G takes. Interesting might have been H6. And after knight to H3, G takes then. With G takes. That might have been the way to go. After G takes, Rook takes, H6, knight to H3. Much, much different. That rook's in a really good spot. This knight can move over if it has to and come here later. King can come up, rook can come over. I like that much better than the other scenario for white. Queen to G6, queen comes up and says, you know what, I better get up here. Knight to F4. Queen's got to move again into the corner. That's bad news. Right now, it's a little bit over a point advantage for white, and I can see why. That queen's in a bad spot. Rook to H1. He decides to come back. Now, that is the second choice in the computer, and it's very close to the first choice. The first choice was G5, that I think all of us would have played instantly. Instantly. And I kind of like that a lot better, but Naroditsky decided to go rook to H1, which was the second choice in the computer and a close second. Black opens it up a little bit. G5 now. And I think Conrad Holt is just feeling the pressure. I mean, look at that light squared bishop for black. It's really crappy. And he's got to hold it there to guard the e-pawn. So he decides to get rid of that knight. He wants that knight gone. If pawn had taken C3, rook to D1 was the computer's choice. And after rook takes, bishop takes, queen F5. That might have been a little bit better scenario for black. But after rook takes F4, bishop takes, pawn takes now bishop B3. And it's an over 2-point advantage now for white. Black's in trouble. Decides to move the pawn up. Better than have him take it. Because then he's got to take with the G-pawn and his king's completely exposed. Rook takes. Queen has to go to G6. And, believe it or not, it's the choice of the computer. Finally, white castles long. The only reason why I think he castled long is the king couldn't come here to let the rook out, so he has to castle. King to F7, he's getting the king the hell out of there. Rook comes over. It's looking bad, bad, bad for black. King to E7. Rook. Rook to G8, guard the pawn. Queen to F3, now here comes the queen. Nothing can chase it off. Queen to F7, looking to trade queens, but no, I didn't want none of that. Queen to G6, what else can he do? Queen goes back to F3, queen to F7, now he goes here. Now that was move 32 and 33, that little repeat. I think they were building up some time. It was a 30-second increment per move. They might have been getting low on time. The computer really liked queen to D1. And after queen to E1, bishop B8, queen takes C3, bishop G6. It likes that a lot. But after queen to G4, bishop E8, rook. And what's he going to do here? He's trying to get the king the hell out of Dodge. Now, rook on 1 to H2 is what the computer calls for. I like this move. Now it's going up to number 1. G6. Nice. Nice. What can he do? What can he do? Rook takes. Rook takes. Queen takes G6. Interesting might have been, though. Pawn takes. Rook takes. Queen takes. bishop takes, and now black wins, up a piece. After rook takes, queen takes, bishop takes, rook g8. You're going to lose that pawn. White's up the exchange already. Bishop, rook takes check, king to c8. It's looking bad here for black. f4. This is probably resignable right now, but what happens is you have the emotional part of your brain and you have the logical part of your brain. Logically, you know it's over. There's nothing you can do. But the emotional part isn't ready to give up yet. And he plays on a4, bishop f2, king d8. Rook comes back to pick up that pawn. He can't save it. And this is where we're on move 42, so they're past the time control. This is where I think Conrad miscues. I know what he's trying to do. He goes knight to a7 and bang, it's over a 4-point advantage. He wants to come here to pick up that pawn because he can't save it. Well, he can. Bishop to e1, knight to b5, bishop takes. What to do, what to do? It's pretty hopeless, though. You can see why the knight can't take after bishop checks as a discovery. So that pawn is technically protected right now. King to e8, he gets on a late square. Now the king protects the a pawn. And it's just going through the motions here. Bishop b4, he's trying to hold on. He's trying to just hold on for whatever way he can. Bishop a5. He's probably thinking, okay, all my pawns are on light squares. So is my knight. Maybe I can draw this. He has a dark squared bishop. But c3, slowly but surely, bishop f6, bishop b4. Here comes the rook. There's nothing he can do about it. That rook's going to get behind the position and just eat everything up. King e8, rook checks, king, rook, king, rook checks, king goes to b6. Now the bishop comes over. Bishop checks, king, rook, and king to c2. And that's where finally he said, I've had enough. You're going to win this, and there's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, folks, that's a game from the U.S. Championship 2015, round 9, against two of the very young, up-and-coming grandmasters in the United States. I hope you enjoyed it. And I want you to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.